The Crimean War was the first modern war, and it was fought between Russia on one side and France, Britain, Sardinia, and the Ottoman Empire on the other side. It took place in the Crimean Peninsula and the Black Sea, and the war started in 1853 and ended in 1856. The conflict arose as the Russians demanded protection for the Orthodox Church, which set the stage for an obscure dispute that started the Crimean War. Boley also explains that there was a dispute of who should take over the Ottoman Empire, or whether the Ottoman Empire should continue to exist and who should have that territory. And Russia believed that they should get the empire's territory, but Britain and France refused to allow Russia to get it, and this ultimately caused the war. Moreover, the war ended when Russia gave up and signed the Treaty of Paris in 1856. Frederick Robinson was a British soldier in the Crimean War in 1854, and while he was serving, he kept a diary. He would write about what he did during the day and news or rumors he heard. He mentioned going to church several times, which would make sense because Boley states that religion was a small factor that caused the war. Moreover, Boley states that Russians were outmatched and suffered from disease, and this is something Robinson experienced. For about a week, he talked about cholera outbreaking, saying, "A case of cholera is terminating fatally in 18 hours. Furthermore, we chose this primary source because it was very thorough and detailed. Robinson described what he did every day, and when nothing really happened, he would still write a few sentences, and he talked about the interesting things he saw, like skeletons of families in tombs together."
The Industrial Revolution ended sometime near 1820, and the Crimean War started in 1853. So the war reflected what had occurred in the Industrial Revolution, and the war marked the transition from traditional warfare to modern warfare. For example, all soldiers had previously prided themselves on the use of highly trained cavalry to smash through the front lines of infantry. But then in 1830, rifles came into play and countless cavalry units were destroyed. And these advancements led to today, where the U.S. military has guns that have an ammunition rate of 700 to 950 rounds per minute. In addition, the attack of the Sevastopol was the first battle to see the use of synchronized watches to time an assault, and the Crimean War was the first war to have highly effective explosive naval cannons, a weapon used today. Florence Nightingale was a nurse trainer in the Crimean War and is now known as the founder of modern technology. Nightingale was sent to the region of the Crimean War to help those in need since she studied advanced technologies. According to Bullion, after Nightingale arrived, the death rate in the military hospital dropped from 45 to under 5%. Additionally, better nursing care was introduced with sanitation and hygiene improvements. Surgeons began to use antiseptics and cleaning their hands. The new techniques helped reduce the amount of deaths, and better sanitation allowed for better recovery and less complications. Furthermore, Jonathan Letterman, a medical director, implemented a system to evacuate and care for the wounded, becoming the model for the ambulance to the ER system we know today.
The Crimean War was the basis for war journalism. It allowed for the first time newspapers to effectively mobilize public support for war, and William Howard Russell was one of the first dispatchers on the battlefields reporting on the war, where he shared with the world the horrific military camp and hospital conditions. This led to women in the war effort in places such as hospitals working as nurses. So not only were people being informed about the war, but opportunities for women spread. Photography goes hand in hand with journalism and campaigns. The Crimean War was the first war to bring photographers out and onto the battlefield, and this is significant because it let civilians see what was transpiring in war zones, which helped improve war conditions, and today we can see what occurs in recent wars, which helps us prevent them. During the Crimean War, Russia negotiated selling Alaska with a couple of countries due to debt, but no country wanted it except for the U.S. because they were hoping it had gold deposits, and the U.S. got more than they expected. They found that Alaska had oil, gas, gold, fishing resources, and forestry resources, and today Alaska accounts for 25% of the oil produced in the U.S., and it is also the most important strategic military location for the U.S. Moreover, the territory has very much benefited the U.S. Alaska's seafood industry earns $1.6 billion a year, and the tourism industry generates over 38,000 jobs in Alaska.